Hello, writers, and welcome back to Spooky Writes, your channel all about writing. I'm your host, who is secretly a ghost, Kamal Onur. Now, today we're going to be talking about how to focus on your writing, how to mitigate those distractions. So make sure if you get any value from this video, give it a good thumbs up, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and you'll get a +1 focus skill. So with that out of the way, let's head into the storm.
It's the raven's call, the werewolf's howl, the vampire's bite. You search through the woods for safety, but all you find is... Okay, rights.
So every day we're confronted with distractions. Every day there are things that get in the way of us being able to sit down and write, because writing does require focus. Writing is hard work, despite what everyone and their mother says. To do the best writing that you possibly can, you need to be focused in the ability of writing. You can't have a mentality that's just, he entered the tomb. It was a dark, spooky tomb. Squirrel.
My name is Doug. I have just met you, and I love you.
So understand that there are just so many distractions in our modern world, such as cell phones or noise going off. There are times when people might be mowing the lawn outside and there's a lot of noise going on. That might not be the best time to be writing, because all that noise can be distracting. So best thing you can do is find a place where you are able to mitigate those distractions. Yes, we write on computers for the most part, and if you feel the need to constantly be pulling up different websites while you're writing, I recommend you don't do this. I would recommend closing your web browser. If you have to, jump onto your web browser very quickly, but you want to be hyper-focused in the act of writing. You want to be focused on the act of writing, or as one might say,
Focusing.
to understand that in order to write and in order to write well, you very much need to be focused on the task of writing. You can't necessarily be jumping in and out of the scene. Now, yes, you can do this if you dedicate a solid amount of time to writing, and that can be something as short as 5 minutes. If you dedicate 5 minutes of focused attention on your writing, you can eventually complete a novel. You can eventually complete a short story. You can eventually complete a lengthy body of work. So any amount of time that you are sitting down writing, you should be focused on the act of writing. You shouldn't be answering phone calls. You shouldn't be texting someone while you're writing. All that is going to distract you from the act of getting into what is called the flow state. Now, the flow state is typically when you lose track of time. When you lose track of time, you've entered into what's known as the flow state, where you're writing, and there are stories and work that I have written myself personally, where I'll read back, I'll go back, I'll read the work, and I honestly don't remember writing it. Yes, I remember thinking about the scene, but I don't remember using that language exactly. I don't remember the act of writing those sentences. And so once you achieve this state, it allows your subconscious mind to take over. And when your subconscious mind is doing the majority of the writing, this is where you're going to get into that flow state. And your writing is going to you're going to see those words pile up. And after a moment, you'll look up and you'll go, oh, I have 3,000 words that I wrote when I started from a blank Word document. So again, if you're constantly getting interrupted, whether it's a phone call or a phone ringing, I would highly recommend you turn your phone off. But how will I live? What if I need to check Instagram? What if I need to jump on to text Stacy about what I'm writing about? What if I need to watch a video? What if I need to watch a Spooky Writes video while I'm writing? I wouldn't recommend that. Do your writing and then watch a Spooky Writes video. Do your writing and then text Stacy. Do your writing and then focus on something else, because you want to be so focused on the act of writing. And so mitigating the amount of distraction is going to help you actually write. So many people will say they have to wait for inspiration to write. Now this is This is a terrible way to go about wanting to write anything. You don't want to wait for inspiration to write. If you wait for inspiration to write, you're not a writer, you're a waiter. But the point is, in order for you to mitigate your distractions, you have to find yourself in a room where you're able to sit alone. Writing is incredibly lonely. Writing is not a team activity. Writing is very selfish. Writing is you sitting alone in a room by yourself without anyone else around you. When you're writing, you don't have an audience watching you unless you guys want to see me do a live stream of me writing. I wouldn't really want that, honestly, but if the internet wants it, I guess I would provide it. But it's not really interesting. It's just me sitting here typing away and kind of shaking my head at what I'm writing at the time. So understand that in order for you to actually get focused and get rid of those distractions, you're going to have to get comfortable with quiet. You're going to have to get comfortable with silence. Yes, you can write with music in the background. You can write with whatever type of music in the background. It doesn't necessarily have to be piano music. It doesn't necessarily have to be screamo death metal. It can be whatever music you want to listen to. Sometimes I've heard writers talk about how they'll listen to specific music when they're working on a certain scene. If it's a fight scene, they'll listen to something a little bit more upbeat. If it's a romantic scene, they'll listen to some romantic whatever, I don't know. I'm not very romantic myself. But that's aside from the point. So understand that it's okay to listen to music, but you don't want the music to be distracting. You don't want to be distracted while you're writing. You don't want to be writing a scene and constantly looking up and constantly turning around. You want to be focusing on the act of writing because, yes, writing is difficult. Writing is challenging. Good writing is challenging. Good writing is difficult. And good writing requires focus. Good writing requires attention. So understand that while everyone says, "Oh, I wish writing seemed so easy. Here's my story idea," it still requires a tremendous amount of focus. It requires a tremendous amount of attention to the craft, to what you are writing, to the story itself. And if you're not able to have that attention, you need to develop that attention. A lot of people have told me that they don't have the attention span to read anything because they feel their mind is too overactive. They have an overactive mind. So what I would recommend to help mitigate even distractions from your own mind is I would highly recommend that you start practicing meditation. I would recommend meditating 5 minutes just before you start writing. Just clear your mind of all thoughts and then get into the scene and start writing. Write as much as you can. Again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but this is the truth is the only way you get better at writing is by reading more and writing more. And being as focused as you can on the act of writing is going to help benefit you. It's going to benefit your writing. It's going to benefit your ability to write more. And there are times when I will come to the written page and I'm not inspired to write whatever scene I'm inspired to write. But instead of pacing around the house, instead of doing something that's writing adjacent or something that instead of doing my laundry or cleaning the dishes or whatever other task is not even related to writing, I will sit down at my desk and I will read the story up to where I'm stuck at, and I will just kind of I'll reread that last paragraph, and I'll just sit at my desk and I'll think and I'll try and just imagine and think, and instead of distracting myself and distracting my mind with other thoughts, I try and focus on what happens next in this scene, what is going to happen next. And I might not be inspired to write this next scene, but what always happens is if I sit at my desk and allow myself the time to just take in what I've written, to take in what's going on in the story, it allows me to I'll write a sentence, eventually I'll write a next line in the story, and that line might lead to another line, and that line leads to a paragraph, and suddenly and next thing I know, I'm writing the next chapter. I'm finishing the chapter and I'm starting the next chapter. I'm analyzing what I've written, and by analyzing and focusing on what you've written, it's going to allow you to write more. And so you have to work on mitigating the distractions. You have to work on mitigating the mental clutter that you might even have. So highly recommend practicing meditation and just get into the habit of reading more, get into the habit of being okay with silence, get into the habit of not constantly needing blinking lights in your face. You don't need to be constantly swiping and scrolling through your phone. If you can, I'd highly recommend you turn off your phone while you're writing. Yes, it's going to be scary, but it'll be there. Everything will be there waiting for you when you're done writing. When you're done writing, you can turn your phone on, you can go back, you can respond to text messages, you can respond to calls that you missed. You can come back to the world, because to write, you almost have to disappear. You have to just sit down at the desk, you have to sit down at the computer, and you just start typing away, and you need to disappear. You need to not be thinking about what's for lunch. You need to not be thinking about when is my mom going to call me? When is that? What's Sheila doing right now? Right? You need to be focused. You need to be thinking about what is the next scene? What is the next sentence in your work? What is the next? Where is where is your story heading to? And by doing this, and by practicing this over and over again, it's going to help you develop your ability to be more disciplined. You're going to be able to become more focused in the act of writing. And as you become more focused in the act of writing, you will see that your writing will improve. And over time, again, it's not going to happen overnight. Writing is a very long, lengthy journey, and a writing career is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So again, hopefully you found some value in this video. Make sure to give it a good thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. And as always, keep it spooky.
And now we must return to the shadows.